I wanted to give you some updates and some of our latest focus with regards to the South Carolina Pastors Alliance. It's good to hear what we're up to recently, and I want to give you the latest information that we have. As you're aware, in recent days, our President, Barack Obama, recently on Good Morning America, shared his evolution with regards to same-sex marriage. For many of us, it was a great disappointment. I think we secretly knew internally where he landed on these things, but to hear it declared with Good Morning America was a disappointment to a lot of us who want to uphold traditional values within our culture. And there on a morning news show, 5,000 years of established understanding was reversed. And we believe that marriage is instituted of God. Marriage was defined long before the Constitution. Marriage was defined long before even the establishment of religion and how it was codified even within the Christian and Jewish scriptures. Marriage was codified on the opening day of creation when God created man and woman, and he said that they were to go and multiply and be fruitful in the earth. And so we believe that that is a building block, a foundational structure within a civilization, and if that one falls apart, then we just personally believe that we're headed in a destructive course. And so the South Carolina Pastors Alliance has much on its plate right away to begin to deal with and to strategize about with regards to how we can begin to set the rudder aright in our state and in our nation. Recently, I just had a picture come to mind, and as you know, this is the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. In April, there were different honoring ceremonies with regards to the Titanic, those who perished as well as those who survived. It's a tragic story. But the Titanic really represents, in that era, much of what the culture was like. There was greed, there was selfishness, there was class distinction. We could take a lot of time laying out to you how the Titanic resembles, in so many ways, even America today. They said when they built it, one was asked, one of the shipbuilders, concerning its unsinkability. They said, and I quote, "Not even the power of God could sink her." And so it was with that kind of arrogance that the Titanic went forth as it made its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, there across to New York City. And we all know the story. It hit an iceberg, and for 75, 80 years, it sat at the bottom of the ocean. It was only recently discovered again, I believe, in the mid-1980s. But the point of the story and the picture that was given to me was this, that America in recent years has acted much like the Titanic. It has felt like that not even God could sink America. We've become so used to being a superpower. We've become so used to our economy being the world's best. We've become so used to being filled with our own self-importance that we really have ignored God, and to our own detriment, much like the Titanic, I'm afraid we're on the brink of hitting some icebergs. I saw a picture, though, on this Titanic in the vision of pastors. And so many pastors, of course, are good, godly men. They're wanting to do their best to reach people for Jesus. But I saw us as a group beginning to just get people in rooms on this Titanic. We were doing our best to fill up the rooms on the Titanic. In fact, it seemed as if our esteem and our well-being was based on how many people we could get into the conference rooms and various rooms that were available to us on the Titanic. And the whole time as we're filling up the rooms on the Titanic, we didn't realize there was a gash in its hull and the whole ship was sinking. That's what I feel like in a number of ways that the church and pastors are looking like today. Our culture is sinking. Our nation is falling apart, and we're running around simply filling up rooms, when I believe there's a greater mandate of the kingdom that's falling upon us as pastors to make sure, as watchmen on the wall, we do not let our culture go these directions. And so I want to challenge you to think beyond your local interests. Sure, we're reaching people for Jesus. Sure, we're preaching the gospel. Sure, our church is growing, are indicators that we're doing good things for the Lord and for His kingdom. I don't want to diminish that. But for just a moment, stop and ask yourself that if our nation collapses, we lose our freedoms, if all of a sudden we sink as a country, I understand the church will go on, the gospel will go on, God will still be king. But we all understand by looking at other nations and countries how we can be severely hampered and detoured from our work that's going to take place. I simply want you to consider, might there be a greater kingdom mandate upon us in the hour that we're living in? We're going to be talking about just these things at our next South Carolina Pastors Alliance meeting. On June the 4th, it's a Monday, at 10 o'clock, we'll be meeting here at Legacy Church in Charleston, South Carolina. On June the 25th, a Monday as well, we'll be meeting in Spartanburg, South Carolina, in the upstate, and at Legacy Outreach Center. At these meetings, both starting at 10 o'clock, both of them will be the same exact meeting. We're going to be sharing a number of things that you can begin to do as a pastor. As you're reaching people, as you're making disciples, you can also be engaged in your culture and helping to activate your people with some of the greater kingdom purpose with regards to our nation and the direction our nation is taking. These meetings last 2 hours. I know how important your schedules are. I know how time is valuable. I know how pastors hate going to meetings that aren't profitable. I will assure you, this meeting will be filled with information, filled with resource, filled with strategic advice. It will be a 2 hours well worth your time. We're going to give you the latest updates with regards to what's going on in the culture concerning faith, family, and freedoms as they are given to us through the Family Research Council. I will have just returned from a meeting in Washington, D.C., listening to those voices who are on the cutting edge in these particular areas. So we'll be sharing that information to you. We'll be sharing with you that on September the 15th, a Saturday, here in Charleston, South Carolina, there will be a great Constitution celebration at the North Charleston Coliseum, where 5,000 plus people are going to be gathering, and we're soliciting for between 100 and 200 pastors to be there in order to demonstrate that there is a 21st century black-robed regiment that is arising in the land, that we're prepared to give leadership with regards to our state and our national issues. That will be on September the 15th. And then we'll also be visiting with you about October the 7th, which is the Pulpit Initiative Sunday. It's Speak Out Sunday. The Alliance Defense Fund has been working to reverse the Johnson Amendment, which many pastors have feared as being illegal to preach on public policy, to preach on particular candidates' positions. And on October the 7th, a growing group of pastors are intentionally sharing biblical precept with regards to some of the current issues and politicians and things we are facing. We're going to be giving you information on that and how you can be a part of that growing group of pastors. It's a remarkable movement that you'll want to be a part of. Now, as I conclude all of this, I just want to share with you that I believe the days we are living in are watershed. I believe the days that we are living in literally may be the line in the sand, the crossroad for this nation. I'm not old enough to remember World War II, but I know enough from studying history to know that when the Allies landed on the beaches of Normandy, it was called D-Day, that particular battle that lasted approximately a week, that particular battle was the battle that would distinguish the course of the war. Whoever won on the beaches of Normandy would ultimately win the war. Now, we all know that there were skirmishes and battles before D-Day. We know that there were battles and skirmishes after D-Day. But D-Day was that day on that beach that determined the outcome of the war. It's just in my spirit to just share with you that I believe 2012 may be our D-Day. There have been skirmishes and battles, culturally speaking, that have taken place up to this moment, and I'm quite sure there'll be other skirmishes and battles that will take place after the year 2012. But for whatever reason, I feel like this year is a watershed year. It's a line in the sand year. It's our moment where the rudder will either be cemented in as far as the direction of our nation is concerned, or it will be the year that perhaps godly righteousness can begin to lay its handle to the rudder again. That's all yet to be seen, but I think we have an opportunity as pastors and the people of God. So I want to encourage you, June the 4th in the Low Country, Charleston, South Carolina Legacy Church, or June the 25th in the Upstate, Spartanburg, South Carolina, at Legacy Outreach Center. You can hit my website, you can look that up, Google it. Be there at those meetings, Pastor. We would love to have you. It'll be a great time. We'll see you there.